Dr. Hernando Carter, board certified internal medicine physician. Yes, your primary care extraordinaire. And welcome to another episode of the Prescription for Better Living podcast, where we discuss all things health and wellness in a hip and relatable way. If you are returning PBL family, thank you for your loyal viewership. Thank you for your support. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome to the PBL family. Your life will never be the same after listening to or viewing one episode. If this podcast has helped you, blessed you, taught you something, or someone close to you in any way, we would love your support. You can support us by hitting our Cash App, $PBL podcast. No amount is too large or too small. Also, you can become a member of our Patreon family. Just $1 a month supports us. Patreon.com/Dr. Hernando Carter. And if you would like to be an episode sponsor, you can reach out to us via email at contact@rxforbetterliving.org. It's right there on the screen. Contact@rx4betterliving.org, and we will get back with you. Speaking of sponsors, our podcast sponsor, my man Cedric Cooper over there at Right On Time Physical Therapy, rightontimept.com, right in the Birmingham area, right down in Ensley off Avenue D at the Ensley Health Club. Let me tell you, Cedric is doing his thing. I personally know Cedric. He's personally taking care of my patients as we speak. He does a phenomenal job for those elderly people who need physical therapy. He'll make house calls, home visits in some situations. But hey, you don't have to really have a physical disability to get physical therapy. Oh, no. It's working out time. Y'all want to get ready for spring break, get your summer fine on. You're lifting more, you're running more, your muscles are tight, your joints are stiff. Hey, physical therapy is good with that, stretching you out, range of motion, decreasing pain. So hit up Cedric Cooper. The information is here on the screen. Got your phone number, got the email. His website is rightontimept.com. Now, this is episode 37 of the Prescription for Better Living podcast. And on episode 37, we are going to tackle part 4 of the Limitless life. And Hernando, how many parts are you going to have to the Limitless life? I'm glad you asked. And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. You know, sometimes I think I'm done with the topic with 1 or 2 episodes, and I'll receive inspiration to dig a little deeper. And so I really do try to let the spirit guide me as it relates to a topic. So once the spirit tells me to get off of it, I'll move on to the next thing that the spirit tells me. Or sometimes the spirit will drop a new topic into my heart, and I'll know that it's time to transition to that topic now, right? So will there be a part 5? I don't know. We'll see. You got to stay connected to find out. But we've been talking a lot about the concepts that are in this book. And no, this is not a paid advertisement. This author, Joe Bowler, doesn't know me from a can of soup. She hadn't given me any money, no sponsorship to cover this book. But here's what I do in my life. If there's something that I'm led to study and to read about, and if it personally touches me, if it personally impacts me, then I want to share it with others. I don't want to keep it to myself. And this is where we are with this book, The Limitless Mind. And really, this is where the topic of the limitless life came from. Now, this is episode 37, part 4 of the limitless life. So let me tell you, when I was in college, I told you I went to Morehouse College, the house, class of 2001. And I was a biology pre-med major. And as a biology major, I participated in research. And this particular research project that I participated in was a joint venture collaboration between Morehouse College and Georgia State University. And it was in the area of neuroscience and neurobiology. You know what a ferret is? A ferret? A ferret would freak Dr. Adrian Carter out because there are these little rat-like animals. Think about a mix between a squirrel and a rat or a mouse. That's a ferret. Cute little things. I'm an animal lover. I love them. But our research was done on ferrets. And what we were doing in this study was studying the brain's ability to heal itself, the brain's ability to overcome damage. And this was my introduction to the concept of neuroplasticity. And so here's what we did. How did we know if the brain was healing itself or not? We looked for a certain protein that's made by neural cells, neurons, called CFOS, the letter C dash FOS, CFOS. And that is where I learned about neuroplasticity. So what is CFOS, Hernando? I'm glad you asked. CFOS, C-FOS, is a protein that is involved in neuroplasticity. It's involved in learning, and it's involved in memory. People who have memory issues like dementia have lower amounts of CFOS protein expressed in their brain. CFOS, and I'm nerding out on y'all now, it is an immediate early gene, IEG, that is actually activated in response to neuronal activity. Neurons are cells involving the nervous system. CFOS is important for cells to switch between different functional states in the brain. Now, there are all kinds of cells in the body, right? And as a biologist or a physiologist, you can look at different organs in the body, and you can tell by looking at their cells under the microscope what organ you're looking at. We said cells are the building blocks of life. And so if you were to take a piece of heart and look at it under a microscope, per se, it would look totally different than would the liver under a microscope, or a kidney under the microscope, or the stomach, or the small intestine, or the large intestine, or the lungs, or the respiratory tract. They all look different because they all have different functions. But neuronal cells have the ability to switch functions in the brain. So here's what it looked like. Here's what we did. Now, Peter, don't come after me, okay? Don't come for me, but this is what we did. These cute little ferrets. We did brain surgery on them, and we did what's called denervation in the brain. So the parts of the brain that control sight, Gary, we did neurosurgery, brain surgery on them, and we took out that part. We made them blind. The parts of the brain, that's in one group of ferrets. In the other group of ferrets, we did neurosurgery, and the parts of the brain that control hearing, we denervated them, and we made them deaf. And then guess what we did, Gary? The blind ferrets, we took and we stimulated them with lights. Overstimulated, overstimulated, overstimulated. The deaf ferrets, we stimulated them with sound. Overstimulated, overstimulated, overstimulated. And do you know what we found, Gary? Was that the blind ferrets, when we overstimulated them with light, the part of their brain that was still working, that controls sound, it started changing. And they started releasing protein in that area that was responsible for sight in the part of the brain that controls hearing. For, y'all hang with me now, for the deaf ferrets, we stimulated with sound, 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 sound. You know, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. Whatever your music is, right? And then we looked at the parts of the brain that control sight that was still working, and their brains started changing. Their brains were starting to learn how to hear with the part of the brain that controls sight. Neuroplasticity. There have been studies not done on ferrets, but on other animals where scientists denervated a part of the spinal cord. And then they did stimulation, like with a TENS unit, right? Stimulate that damaged area, and it started growing back. Neuroplasticity. Well, why are you saying that, Hernando? Well, practically speaking, this is where science is trying to go. If you have a stroke or you have an aneurysm that leaves you brain damaged, if someone loses oxygen to their brain, or they have traumatic brain injury, or they develop Alzheimer's, dementia, they're working on figuring out how to turn on the brain's ability to heal itself. Neuroplasticity, it's possible, y'all. Why you think Elon Musk and them is trying to play around with y'all brain and put microchips up in there? Neuroplasticity, y'all. Well, why are you saying this, Hernando? I'm glad you asked. First of all, don't give up hope. I have patients that come in who were hospitalized. You know, they go to the hospital, they've had a stroke, right? And they come in and they have problems with their speech. You know, they can't talk, or they have problems on one side of their body. They're paralyzed, they're weak, they can't move. And I tell them, don't give up. Keep working. If you have a problem with your speech, keep going to speech therapy. And then when you leave speech therapy, don't stop. Keep working. Keep doing those exercises. Those physical exercises, those exercises they do when you can't move your arm or your leg, keep working. Keep doing it. Don't quit. Don't just sit there and accept that disability. Work through it. Why, Hernando? Because the body can heal itself. It can overcome those damaged areas and form new connections, but it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. I tell my patients, The limitation that you have now because of this stroke, because of this injury, you're not stuck with it forever. Keep working. It takes the body sometimes a year or more to form new connections. So don't quit. Where you are now is not necessarily where you're going to be a year from now. If you develop blockages in your heart, did you know that the body can form what's called collaterals and build new areas of circulation? We're wonderfully made, y'all. Neuroplasticity, don't quit, is my point. Point number one. Point number two is that if the body can do that with damaged cells, stroked out, oxygen deprived, injured cells, if you have a totally normal functioning brain, you're only limited in capacity by what you allow yourself to be limited by. You're only limited by the limitations you place on yourself. Just because something is hard does not mean that it's impossible. It does not mean that you cannot do it. You just gotta work harder than somebody else. And there's nothing wrong with you because of that, because your brain thrives in struggle. It grows. So stop saying what you can't do, what you're not good at, what you won't do, and stop putting that limitation before you and push through it. If you say that you're not good at public speaking, join Toastmasters. Volunteer to speak in front of people. Keep studying and working at it. If you say you're not good at math, work all the math problems you can until you get better. If you shoot basketball, if you're a basketball player and you say you're not good at free throws, do 1,000 free throws a week. And show me, won't you get better? I told you in the last episode that by thinking hard about your muscles getting stronger, you can make them stronger just by thinking it. So stop limiting yourselves is all I'm saying. And that's all I got for part 4 of the Limitless Life, episode 37 of the Prescription for Better Living podcast. As always, I'm Dr. Hernando Carter, even though I scream at you sometime. Board certified internal medicine physician. Yes, your primary care extraordinaire. Saying wherever you go, whatever you do, stand on the tallest mountaintop you can. Don't keep this good news to yourself. Scream to the top of your lungs. Hallelujah, Dr. Carter is here. Until next time, Dr. Carter saying, peace out.